The late morning sun spilt across Turul's sweat-slicked body, revealing every brutal line etched into his straining frame. His thick shoulders were drawn forward in trembling defiance of the weight dragging behind him. Whatever now replaced the mill was no labor, but punishment made heavier. Each step was a struggle beyond the limits of ordinary strength. His arms twisted unnaturally behind his back, veins pulsing beneath the skin like taut cords, sweat glinting as it streamed down his carved torso. His warrior instinct held firm, despite the brutal strain. As they passed beneath a plain, undecorated wooden arch, his eyes lifted, taking in the crude iron bolts and weathered planks. This gate was not for pageantry. That was enough for him to know. It was meant for tasks kept from view. Yet, what stirred him was not its hidden purpose but the realization that it led this small escort beyond the walls, away from the heart of Rose's stronghold. But what Turul didn't know was that Roka was there too, standing high atop the battlements above the gate. The slave master rarely bothered with Halálkapu, the death gate, where bodies were discarded over the cliff. But today was different. Below, his new slave hauled the massive, empty wooden cart alone. Tamas sat atop it, like a deadweight. Armed soldiers flanked them on either side, his own command. Even in chains, this one couldn't be underestimated. The enslaved warrior's eyes narrowed, as the rough path reached a wind-swept edge. The jagged dropped beyond, the circling birds above. He had never seen this place from above, but he knew it too well from below. He had once climbed these rocks, searching for fallen comrades, whose final resting place was no grave, only stone and silence. Now, the truth settled, like iron in his gut. But one detail gnawed at his mind. The cart he dragged was empty. Yet, he cut the suspicion short. Whatever they had planned, whatever cruel purpose awaited him here, it did not matter. He was outside the walls. There might be a chance. However slight, however brutal the odds, a fighter's mind could turn hardship into opportunity. Turul's sharp gaze swept the ground, as they emerged into the exposed clearing beyond the gate. The terrain was harsh. Nothing but jagged rock, no tree nor cover. The space was narrow, flanked on one side by the high fortress wall, and on the other by a sheer drop into the ravine below. It was a dead end. The only easy path here was through that rear gate. Any other approach, climbing up from the depths below, would demand perilous ascent over the cragged cliffside. The cart lurched to a halt in the middle of the clearing, as Tamas gave a clumsy bellow.
"Stop here."
Then, after a moment's blank stare at the rocks ahead, he barked again.
"Break the rocks." Put him in the cart. Full. All of it.
A dull repetition of instructions he barely understood. But for Turul, the meaning was clear enough. The empty cart now had a purpose. And so did he. Stripped of freedom, reduced to raw muscle for stone and sweat. Roka watched it unfold from atop, just as he'd ordered. The rebel took the mallet from Tamas. No glare or resistance. Simply turned and began the labor. The cruel master hadn't overlooked the inefficiency. He'd counted on it. The wooden mallet would absorb impact, forcing the slave to swing harder, longer, with less result. His plan had taken form.
Drain all his strength and dignity.
The sun beat down mercilessly, as Turul hefted the mallet high above his head. The crude tool felt twice as heavy in his bound hands, each motion straining against the spiked cuffs that tore into his wrists. A few fractured stones from earlier labors lay scattered near the cliff's edge, but they were far too few to meet the demand. He would have to shatter the cliffside if they wanted the cart filled. With each blow, his powerful torso twisted and heaved, every impact sending fresh agony rippling through his frame. The young rebel's sharp gaze swept toward the armed soldiers on either side, alert, watching his every move. Even with his hands unbound for labor, he knew there would be no chance to fight, let alone flee. Just walking across the uneven ground was trial enough. Thick shackles bound his ankles, and iron balls trailed behind, like dead weights. Yet, he endured. And with quiet calculation, he shifted his work nearer to the cliff's edge, using the moment to observe and memorize what lay beyond. Between strikes, Turul allowed his gaze to sweep over the edge. It wasn't just a sheer drop. It curved inward below the ledge, the stone face concaved with jagged outcroppings. Without restraints, it might have been climbable, difficult, but not beyond him. But with spiked shackles biting his wrists, iron balls chained to his ankles, and armed guards flanking him, it was impossible. Still, his eyes marked every ledge, every crag, and every shadowed hold. He memorized the path in silence. Not for now. Turul raised the mallet again. A wooden-headed tool more fit for splitting kindling than shattering stone. With all the fury and force his chained body could summon, he brought it crashing down onto the sun-baked cliffside. A sharp crack split the air. The hardened surface fractured beneath the blow. It was just one rock among thousands. But the break ran deep. And behind his storm-grey eyes, something flickered. If stone could yield beneath even this feeble tool, so too could the walls of Rose's dominion.